let's have a look at this story. This was breaking news. We haven't teased this at all, but we're going to do it because it's really important. It's really important. It's important for a couple of things, right? This is how Bill English got to be in charge of the Kāinga Ora review that was just released. Now, it's really important for a couple of reasons. One is transparency, so you know how this government operates when appointing the Old Boys Network. But secondly is to know that they did nothing wrong according to the rules in this. That's the other thing that's incredibly important to know. This is not going to result in any kind of change because there were no rules broken in this. They're allowed to do it. When I say they're allowed to, I mean all politicians, whatever color the government, is allowed to do this. A bit of a text message, okay, you're in charge, done. It's not. There's nothing wrong with it as far as the handbook to Parliament goes, Chewy. That's the other thing to be aware of in this fucking story.
News Hub can reveal Sir Bill English was signed on to head a $500,000 review of Kāinga Ora through a couple of simple text messages with the minister, weeks before Chris Bishop even got cabinet sign-off for the review.
Kāinga Ora's response.
Did you get that? So he had the job before cabinet even said yes to the idea.
To the scathing report says they were hardly consulted. And News Hub has got hold of text messages showing it was the minister's preference that they had no involvement. Political editor Jenna Lynch has this exclusive report.
Billboard duty with Sir Bill English and Chris Bishop back in 2017. 6 years on, out with the staple guns and in with the calculators. Sir Bill appointed to undertake a review of Kāinga Ora, which when completed was highly critical.
Kāinga Ora is underperforming and not financially viable.
And News Hub can reveal how the former PM came to head the $500,000 probe. We've obtained the text exchange.
So I'm already laughing because if you don't laugh about this one, you'll cry, Chewy. Honestly, it's just, okay. A CEO, right, sells his business now as one of the reasons to run the country. That would involve things like hiring people, due diligence, putting people through the ringer to make sure they're the best person for the job. That would all be a business practice. No, not so much.
The first contact is direct from Sir Bill. Chris, will there be a review of KO? Bishop replies, we're going to do an independent review into finances, performance, cost, etc. Commence at ASAP, hopefully get terms of reference and reviews sorted before Christmas. Sir Bill said, I could help with that. The response from Bishop, excellent. Let's do that.
Excellent. Let's do that. Oh my God. Like every political party, every political party uses their team to do these sorts of things. But if any other, I don't give a crap if you're green or red or orange or blue or black or whatever the fuck act is, pink or yellow, something like that at the moment. Pinkos. Yeah, they're the pinkos. That's about right. It's just if anyone was said, this is how they got their position. Trevor Mallard, he's over in Ireland, isn't he? If it was all through that.
Trevor Mallard,
Trevor Mallard. You imagine what the National now government then party would have done if Trevor Mallard had got appointed that position through a couple of text messages with Cindy, with old Cindy. They would have been apoplectic in their faux rage. So they've just talked, and we've actually just given them credit a little bit for the appearance of a conflict of interest. This is the appearance of corruption. Now, if what matters most is the appearance, not even a conflict of interest, then surely what matters most is the appearance, not even if it is corrupt. Because it's certainly the appearance of jobs for the boys, Old Boys Network. Let someone approach you about an idea. It's the appearance of a corrupt system.
They are not even bothering to hide it. This isn't the case of like, oh, we want someone to do an independent review. Who wants it? Okay, we've got 4 contenders and we've checked out the tender process and all of this sort of stuff. And we've selected Sir Bill English, our old mate, former leader, for a $500,000 jobs program to cut something that we know he hates and that we hate as well. It's not even the fig leaf of going through a process. It is a private text message of like, hey, do you want to gut KO? I can fucking help you. I hate him. I hate public ownership.
This is going to get worse, Chewy. We're not finished yet. because what comes next is Sir Bill English basically setting out his terms of reference. Remember, he's approached Bishop. He's made the offer, I could do it. Bishop said yes. And the next bit is Bill English saying, well, this is how I want to do it. You might want to step away from the microphone when you see this bit, just between me and you.
Did you follow proper process in appointing Bill English?
Absolutely.
The Let's Do This message was sent on the 29th of November. The review was only taken to the Cabinet 100-day Plan Committee to sign off 2 weeks later on December 13. You said, excellent, let's do that before you even took it to Cabinet.
Yeah, well, that I was expressing interest in getting him to do the review.
Yeah, that's right. You were offering him the job and doing the review is what you were doing. Keep going.
Yeah, well, I was expressing interest in getting him to do the review.
It doesn't sit right. And everything suggests that this was a stitch-up and that the outcomes were predetermined.
A day after Bishop gave the green light,
Yeah.
Sir Bill issued some terms of his own. I will help if it's a short, sharp review. No public submissions or field trips. Bishop agrees, saying definitely not. 3 people, you and 2 others. He goes on to say no involvement from KO. Independent.
Oh, that's what they meant by independent.
No involvement from KO. Bill English approaches
Not
Chris Bishop.
independent of government fuckery.
Independent of KO.
Independent from the organisation. Then, right? Oh,
So-
okay.
So we
Jesus
do.
Christ.
So we do this. Bill English goes to Chris Bishop and says, "No, are you guys going to look at KO? Kāinga Ora?" Bishop goes, "It's part of the plan." English goes, "Oh, I'd be keen to do that." Bishop goes, "Okay." English goes, "I don't want to go around the traps. I don't want to have to answer any submissions. I don't want to do anything like that. I want it to be as short as possible. So I earn the most per hour as I can." Bishop goes, "No, that'll do. And don't worry about it. We won't involve Kāinga Ora in your review of Kāinga Ora at all." The appearance of what again was it, Julie?
Unbelievable. We're going to have to crack out
To
Bill's old nickname. The
was it?
double dipping dipshit.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's because he was claiming to live in Dipton when he was really spending all of his time, and his kids were at school in Wellington, eh?
It was ye old National Accommodation Supplement rot.
Yeah. Yeah, it was an entitlement, is what it was. Let's get to the end of this, shall
He
we?
was entitled to it.
Rate, the housing minister saying there would be no involvement from Kāinga Ora in the review of Kāinga Ora.
Did he advise Sir Bill English not to involve Kāinga Ora in the review?
No, and they were involved in the review. He met with Kāinga Ora.
How on earth can you review an organisation without actually talking to the organisation?
He didn't want an extended period of consultation and roadshows.
Who gives a shit what Bill English wanted? Man, I can't wait to get my next job. Let's say there's a job with a radio station and they want me to work by breakfast show 6 till 10. I go, yeah, cool. I'll do 8 till 9. And then the boss goes, well, he didn't want to work the full 4 hours, so we're going to pay him just to work an hour a day. It's like, what? Who gives a shit what he wanted? That's why you put this kind of thing out to tender and you do due diligence and you find the best person for the job. You've got the best person for the job that wants to do as little work as possible. That's that kind of best person you've got. You.
So,
Holding my tongue.
if he's not involved with the organisation, how did he act? What did he review? What did he see? Didn't talk to anyone.
Kāinga Ora talks about that a bit here. We'll show you.
Talking to the organisation.
He didn't want an extended period of consultation and roadshows around the country. They did, as part of the review, go and talk to a whole range of people, from developers, construction
Except for Kāinga Ora.
people. They talked to Kāinga Ora themselves extensively.
Except in a letter to Sir Bill ahead of the release of his final report, the acting chair of Kāinga Ora's board said there was relatively limited engagement with our organisation, leading to some review conclusions appearing to be based on analysis informed by anecdotes.
Vibes.
We said
Oh
this
my
exact
God.
this exact thing last night listening to Erica Stanford. Every time a minister, and I guess this is going to be a former prime minister, wants to do something, they cite anecdotes. Now we're finding out that they even cite anecdotes to make conclusions in a freaking review of Kāinga Ora. What are they doing? And I think you're right, Joey. 2 things. It is just so blatant. There's no pretense anymore. But the second thing, as I said at the start, nothing they've done is wrong when it comes to like the handbooks and the rules of Parliament. They're allowed to do it this way. That's the other thing that needs to change.
That's unhinged.
Well,
like this mate's job program. Like, you're in Parliament or you're out. I'm uncomfortable with all of it. Like, it doesn't matter what side. When somebody's out. They're all the way out. They're Jacinda out. They're gone.
So here's a question, and look, fair's fair. This would be a question for the other side if they were in. Here's a question, journalists. Ask the Prime Minister who they have appointed to a position of relevance, to a position of significance, to do a review or be in charge of something that used to be a Labour minister or a Greens minister. Who have they appointed? And if it's no one, then that perception thing starts to rear its ugly head again. Now, as I said, if it was Labour in this position, exactly the same question, right? But I think that's a fair question for the Prime Minister. Let's shoot a bit more of this in.
Conclusions appearing to be based on analysis informed by anecdotes.
Well, that's their perspective, it's not mine.
It's an absolute shocker. The whole thing's a stitch-up, no doubt.
Do you see how it looks like you've just appointed someone who's going to tell you what you want to hear?
I reject that utterly. Sir Bill is a former Prime Minister. He's a former Minister of Finance, deeply experienced in the housing system.
The report should be called Bill's Reckons.
Kāinga Ora's letter to Sir Bill also took exception with a number of the report's findings, alleging there were many factual errors. Their list of errors is 3 pages long.
Jesus.
There you go. So the story is they do, it's jobs for your mates, all politicians, all political parties. But what we've now seen with this, maybe it's just the advent of technology. It's like a quick couple of text messages. You've got the job. Here's the salary. Now I'll go get it run through cabinet 2 weeks in the future from now.
Right, just think about the others that are still in the mix here. Stephen Joyce, Paula Bennett, Simon Bridges. They're all still banging around, and they're all politics adjacent, or they're being employed on jobs programs by their mates that are still in the house. It's fucking bullshit. Like, you've got corruption. You've got people having off the books meetings with mining executives. You've got mining companies making donations.
Mm-hmm.
You've got it's chronic. You're right. It's in the handbook. They can do it. These guys know the handbook to the point where they can circumvent this stuff, and they can just go. Like, do you remember Claire Curran got ran out of town on a fucking rail
because of a meeting?
Over what was it? 2 meetings.
Yeah.
And then you've got Shane Jones having full-on dinners and just going, I'll put it in the book retrospectively.
Mm.
There's a reason that it's supposed to be on the book. Paula Bennett, Pharmac board chair. Fantastic. What's their experience with that? She involved in the pharmacy business?
And she sells houses.
She a real estate cheerleader?
Yep.
Breakfast show guest?
Sells houses and did radio for about 3 minutes.
The only thing she should be in charge of is a place that decommissions ladders.
Yeah. Yeah. Very good. I got that. I understood that joke.
That was very clever.
It's quite not
but yeah, it's just, look, I would be, I just don't like it. I don't like these people that are still circling around and putting their hands out for public money through contracts and reviews and consultation. I just don't like it. It doesn't matter what side it is, but these guys are being particularly egregious and are particularly blatant about it.
Yep. Yep. And the thing that feels most grubby about this is Bill English said, "Gimme." Like, if Cabinet had sat around and gone, who should we get to do this? And they'd had a conversation and they'd gone, oh, Bill would be pretty good at this. And then they'd reached out. Even that would be a level of sort of, finding the best person for the job. But Bill English texted Chris Bishop. And in a case of 2 or 3 text messages, he said he'd do it. Bishop said, okay. So this is the opposite of how business should be run. And I think the opposite of actually how government should be run. And this is where we come back to that point that they're allowed to do this. And that's actually another issue we've got to address at some stage. These guys won't do it. We need a government that's actually going to look at the bullshit parts of government and how it runs that are allowed, but let's put it this way, are immoral or bad practice, and get rid of them as well. Talk about repealing stuff, mate. That's what you should be repealing.
Like, I get it. New Zealand's a small country, right? So it might be that somebody that has been a political leader or a political operator is the best person to do it.
Sure.
But this is why there should be such rules about transparency and such rules about making sure that he's not the only horse in the race, and making sure that the money is you know, fair, out in the open. Because when it gets all murky and it's like, oh, I just went into my bloody contacts list and picked someone that helped me out, that's corruption. You scratch my back, I'll scratch yours. That is something that we need to be aware of, and we need to be furious about when it's there.
Okay, here's something for you, and I'm just looking on the Education Gazette to see if I can find one. I'm pretty sure, there'll be teachers watching right now, tell me if I'm right. I'm pretty sure that most government departments, if not all, I know certainly within the teaching field it used to be, they must advertise the positions. They must by law. Because what you find with primary schools, and I used to find this back in the day, unless it's changed, it would have an advert for a job and then it would say something like position filled, but they would still have to advertise it. So once again, how come a minister can just do a handshake, you know, the secret handshake with their right friend and the jam of the shoulders, and then they've got a job, yet potentially the ministry that they're over has to advertise for a position by law. So why don't they have to advertise for the person, even if they've got Bill, position filled, in charge of the review of Kāinga Ora? Do you know what I mean? It's like, this is the fucking government that keeps talking about making everyone the same under the law. Well, here's an example of how you're not. Why aren't you getting rid of this? It's completely different to how other government entities hire and fire people. You're not the same as us. You have a privilege. You get treated better than the rest of us. Why aren't we flattening that field out first before you go after solo mums who live in South Auckland and whose kids might get into medical school for a reason of proportionality within this country?